Hello, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Rosalind Baines. Oh, we are live. Pretty late, though. We should have started at 6 p.m. Now we moved to 6:35, and now we have to start now at 7:06. What was happening there, we were suffering from some heavy technical difficulties, and I'm here now, and I hope I'm live. I hope you guys can hear me, and I hope you guys are following me. If you guys are hearing me, can you say something? Are you guys hearing me? It's live with Mama Coco. This is a new... Yes, Janelle James Alexander, she said yes, Mama. Cindy Duke saying yes. Well, blessed evening to everyone. This evening I have here with me a young man hailing from Roxborough, Tobago. A lot of people know him already. Some call him comrade, some call him Mr. Duke, some call him brother. But to me, he's like a son here because I am Mama Coco. And this evening, as I introduce him to you, I introduce you to him as a young man, a young guy that grew up listening, obeying, and studying the Advent message. He grew up in a very strict and staunch Adventist home. He, as a young man, he knew nothing else but just his hymns, played music, he went to church, he went to school, he did it the best way, he did it the Advent way. We now know him as a strong man in the fight, fighting for humanity, fighting for wages, fighting for a good way of life. We know him strong out there. We know him making a lot of noise. There was a time in his life he didn't know anything about noises. He didn't know anything of opening up his mouth too loud. I said, Watson Duke is one of Roxborough's best young man growing up. He grew up knowing the Lord. I said he was an Adventist. I think he still is an Adventist. But because of his interactions now, like look Watson dancing. Watson didn't know anything about dancing. Look Watson singing a calypso. Watson didn't know anything about calypso. So the guy that we knew in Roxborough, that Roxborough giving now to the world, and the world, some people accepting him, some people don't understand that he is a human being. Watson Duke didn't start out as a big man. He was a child first. He was a child first. Watson Duke is a young man that is aspiring not only for himself, but he's doing good for the masses. As a trade unionist now, he didn't start as a trade unionist. First he had was to join the trade union. He was a public servant first, although he still is in the public service. This evening, without further ado, I want to welcome Watson Duke.
Hey.
Round of applause. Welcome, Watson Duke.
Thank you so much, cousin Cora. I mean, I had to call it cousin because it's family, it's blood. Thank you for this opportunity to be on your set. And I also thank the makers of Facebook for being able to have us.
Yes.
Though we are in remote places, we are face to face as if it is now. I thank you for this opportunity. I thank your audience also who have viewed here, being part of this.
Well, I want to stress that I want to ask you some questions. We're doing this for edification. We're doing this
Yes.
so that people can know the human being Watson Duke. They can know why you have the passion for your mission. I want them to know that I believe that when we walk with the Lord in the light of his word, what a glory he sheds on our way. When we do his will, he'll abide with us still. All we have to do is
trust
to trust and obey.
Wonderful.
This evening, Brother Watson Duke, I want you to say something on your own behalf, from boyhood to manhood.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity again, and I would say that for some persons, they would see Watson Duke, as you would have said earlier, as a grown man. They will see the now and forget that there was a road that led to this.
Amen.
They see the jewelry when it's completed. They don't understand the process of taking it from the water, from the earth, and purifying it and forming it, etc. And I would say that
from the fire in the furnace now
right.
to something that looks good, or to some people, they don't like you.
That's right.
This evening I want to show them
who I am.
Duke.
Yeah. I would say that I was formed by the crucibles of life. You know, the experiences is what mold you and shape you. And all the good experiences, all the bad experiences would have converted me to a man who now believes that people need to have a voice. And it's not always good to agree with everything. You must question things. You must challenge them and see if there is any goodness, any virtue in those things. And if so, you hold on to those things. I started off in Roxborough, as you know. Good church boy, going to church, singing the songs, you know, and I was good.
All helped. You knew was church.
That helped you to understand who God is and to have a greater connection with God and a greater love for your fellow man. I would say, had it not been for those early upbringings, you would have lost your sense of humanity, because the world has a way of devaluing you, and you could lose your value based on what people say about you. But when you know God, you know that he died for you, and your value is as good as any. All right? And you don't put yourself too high, then you give yourself a correct value. So having been an Adventist for a while, I went to school, at base school, Roxborough Primary School.
Anglican school, yes.
Yeah, Anglican school.
An Adventist going to Roxborough Anglican school.
yeah. There was a man named Gazette. You remember Gazette?
Father Gazette, yeah.
The guy, yeah. He will come and he will say his tongue, he say grace before meals and all this kind of stuff. You know, we grew up saying all these things. And we went to high school at Roxborough Secondary School again. At that time, there were only 3 high schools, government schools. There was Bishops, there was Scarborough Comfrey, which was one, and there was Roxborough Sec. Roxborough Sec was deemed to be one of the lowest performing schools. So I went to that school. I was always a brilliant child at school. I left school. I started teaching adult maths to young people.
Say it again.
Senior folks. When I left school, I started teaching adult maths. When I left school,
adult mathematics.
Mathematics, yeah. I started.
Arithmetic.
That's right. I started under Dr. Eastlyn Mackenzie. She gave me that job. It was in adult education. I just left school at the age of 17. Well, 16 actually. At the age of 16, I left school at the age of 16.
She's known as Eastlyn Mackenzie Backup.
That's right. Dr. Eastlyn Mackenzie Backup. It's lovely. And she would have said, look, I had maths in a grade 1. Brilliant man. And she said, well, look, get some people and teach them maths. And I started teaching. The maths class grew from like about 10 to about like 40. I had to separate the classes in 2. It was going good. That some persons would have passed mathematics because of my tutelage at the time.
Yes.
Then I started doing farming on the Roxborough estate. We would have gone to the Ministry of Works and Transport. Not in Tobago, but what they call Works in Tobago. and requested a piece of land, and that was opposite the Roxborough Secondary School, and we began something called Ivory Nursery. Today, the government has taken it over, and they're now doing nurseries there. So we started that. Also, I used to hustle tourists. We'll take tourists, stop them on the road, and you give them a tour guide. You give them a tour guide around Tobago, take them to the waterfall, Little Tobago, wherever. That's what we do to stay positive and stay alive. Then one day I got a phone call, and my mother told me, hey, WASA has called you to work. I started at WASA in 1994. I started there as a trainee, working for $20 a day. $20 a day. If I'm not $20 a day, I started off. My first full-time government job was at WASA. $20 a day in 1994. That's all I've known in my life. I spent time in WASA there in Tobago. Then I met a beautiful woman who's now my wife, Kim De Silva, and she was in Tobago holidaying. Then I got married in 99, went to Trinidad, began to make a life in Trinidad, working at WASA. While I was there, I became more aggressively involved in trade unionism in 1999. And I began to show my skills there at WASA.
Yeah.
And in 2007, I became responsible for all of WASA union business, Trinidad and Tobago. I was now the head man in WASA.
How did that come to happen?
Well, again, people see you, they see your talent, they see how you handle matters, your success stories at WASA. We were able to settle several disagreements and several negotiations. We were able to settle that. And so they decided to give.
Who did you start it out working under in the trade union?
Well, insofar as head office, the president at that time was Jennifer Batiste when I took charge of WASA. She was the president of the overall union. But she recognized the potential for growth within me, and she began to fight me hard. One time she told me to go back to, she wrote me a letter and said, go back to Tobago. But that to me, I couldn't do. Going back to Tobago wasn't a choice for me. And I decided to call the WASA people together. We pulled our heads, we pulled our collective strength, and we fought against the Jennifer Batiste Primus PSC at that time. In 2009, it was elections. Though I was expelled from the union, she came and she expelled me from the union. In 2009, I contested the election as president, and I won. I won the Jennifer Batiste team at 2 votes to 1. So every 2 votes they got 1, I think.
Oh, wow,
and they got flexed. Yeah, they got about 1,005 votes together. We got about 3,000 votes.
So did you maintain a friendship, or she became an enemy?
No, we were never friends. When she saw the potential, the potential for growth and development, she was the one who first said in 2007, after I became in charge of WASA's union, she said that this person wants to take over the union, and we will never allow him to take over the PSA. She said that. That was on 95.5. She said she not at all. But little did she know, she expelled me, gave me about 40 charges for things I never did.
Yes.
They got rid of me from the union. But God is a God of justice. And I went to court every time. I won every single matter against her and the PSA in court. And about 4 months before the national elections in 2009, I won a court judgment restoring me back to an ordinary member in the PSA. Now, mind you,
yes,
I was fighting to protect a $50 membership at that time. But I spent about $700,000, right? About 90% of that was my money that I took and I saved and that kind of stuff from my children, my wife and I. And I risked it all on defending that membership, all of that. But it was a chance.
So for some reason, could you tell the audience a little bit about your wife? Is she a stay-at-home wife, mother, or is she a qualified professional?
My wife was in the nursing profession. She worked at several places. The last one was Eric Williams Medical Science Complex. But I'm a man who believes in certain principles. And so after we got married now, and she became pregnant with my second child, my daughter, she's now 18. So we have been married for quite a long time, as you see, right?
Yes.
I told my wife she should cease from work. And I, being the man, I would run the family at that time. I was working at Wassa, but you feel man. You feel like man. So she ceased working, and I did a lot. I mean, I built a house from scratch.
Because I guess that is what you saw when you grew up. Your mom wasn't working.
Yeah. So from this instant to now, she's a stay-at-home mom. I call her a woman of leisure. She does what she wants, and I mean, I'm happy with that. Once at the end of the day, she anchors the family and ensure the family is protected. I will go out and I will move the mountain. I will take on the giants, and I will bring back home the wild beasts. So we have been pretty happy, pretty good in the family for the while. My last son, he is 11 years old. I'm now a grandfather. I have a baby I have a grandson about just 2 weeks old. So
oh boy! Congratulations! I didn't know that.
The whole change. So when I got into the PSA in 2009 as president, I took over a union relatively with ignorance, because there was no handover. No one gave me anything. They simply left the building and said, "Look, take that." No one was there to show me around, tell me this was going on, that was going on. No one. So we took over, and we had to, like they say as Rambo, we had to just jump from the helicopter and start fighting. So the first thing we did in November 2009 was to go into Wassa, where they had terminated some 29 employees without any justice. They wrote them warning letters, and the next letter they got was termination letters. So we went to Wassa, and we had a discussion with the Wassa chairman and the CEO, and after the discussion, they agreed to take back all the employees. So that was my first successful negotiations. And that's all the Wassa employees, in 2000. So I hit the ground running. Then there were outstanding arrests for the persons in the health sector, Mount Hope, Port of Spain, San Fernando, Tobago, and I would have rung up all of those persons also to ensure that they got all their monies paid. That is in 2009.
So they received that.
Yes, they received that
outstanding money.
Yeah.
So now we're not going to be rushing. I just want us to stay, because we have a lot of things to talk about. I think we will have to have a part 2.
That's right. No,
I believe we will have to, because you see, the Watson Duke that people believe they know is the Watson Duke that people don't understand. Why there is a Watson Duke with this mandate. The Watson Duke, now that they are seeing that they are looking to judge by, they don't know what it took.
I feel I was born for this.
I believe so.
There is a type of denying anointment on people that you don't know who you are until the time comes.
Until the
fullness of time comes. And then you just emerge. Because, as much as I've seen a lot of hardship insofar as negative criticism, press, you have a lot of people fighting you. I mean, like I said, I was expelled from the union. Wassa almost terminated me. There was one shade from terminating me, right? A few hours from termination. And even when I got in the union, I was vilified within the union from my own colleagues. In spite of all of that, I can say I do not have hate for any one of my colleagues at all. I have no hate at all for any of my colleagues. Because at the end of the day, I am of a firm view that people are people. We must stay focused on the big agenda. And I think a good heart, a pure heart has kept me sane, has kept me focused. I do not lose focus. So that is a remarkable quality for any leader. Sometimes you could become distracted by what's happening around you. As long as you are distracted, you will become detracted. They could move you off if you lose focus. So right now, as the PSA president, I'm focused on PSA people. Anything bad, I will
PSA
defend them.
PSA cover how many
80,000 employees in
departments?
this country, 80,000 persons in this country, which represents almost
Teachers,
all of the government workers, or not the teachers, but all the government workers.
name the department so people can know
It's
that
about
your job is not as
105,
easy.
but I'll tell you, healthcare workers,
Yes.
doctors, nurses, all these people represent the WASA workers, we represent the civil aviation workers, education, that's right, in all the ministries, persons in prison, customs, Board of Inland Revenue, agriculture, forestry, fisheries, Shagamas Development Authority, in the secondary schools, anywhere you can go, you can find our people. In the office of the Prime Minister, in the office of the President, anywhere you go, you can find our people. The PS of Finance is a PSA member. So we have that level of representation, and that's how much we are ingrained into running this country. My members are every single where. But apart from that, I'm also the president of NATO, which represents all together about 300,000 persons. NATO is the umbrella trade union that represents all unions in Trinidad and Tobago. It is recognized by the
so when people
ILO,
saw you,
the International Labour Organization.
When people saw you, I may stress and impress this now. When people saw you sitting down by Port Authority, people saw you on the airport, and people don't appreciate you for what you are doing there, but they join with governments to tear you down, believing that you're loud and what you're doing there, watching all over the place is a mad man. Tell people why you had to stand up and fight for the workers that
I can't help myself, first of all. I cannot help myself, first of all. I'm in love with people, and I believe that people must have a voice. So wherever there is injustice and persons are silent, I would become that voice. And that's not now. My father is fond of telling a particular story. He said he's a pensioner for quite a while now. He's almost 90. He's moving towards there. He said he went into a bank one day.
90. Something like you can say 19.
Yeah, 90. He's moving towards that. He's past 85 and he's moving towards
90,
that.
yes.
90. And he says that he went into a bank a day and he saw me making noise because the senior citizens were not being given any attention. And by the time I finished making noise, they got a separate line for them and start treating them. And mind you, that was before I became PSA president.
Wow.
Before I became PSA president. So he's always saying that's how I am from a long time. I would be, even at church sometimes, if I feel that something is wrong, I will raise the matter, but respectfully nonetheless.
Yes.
So I've always been one who has been speaking out on behalf of the voiceless and trying to do something for those who can't do it themselves. So in my entire lifetime in the PSA, I would have saved over 5,000 jobs. I saved about 3,000 jobs at WASA from being retrenched by an agreement we signed with the then CEO in that was 2011. I saved 2,175 workers' jobs by sending one of my colleagues in the Senate to defend the workers of Board of Inland Revenue, Customs and Excise. That was April 2010. The bill collapsed. I have restored countless of persons who were on suspension and disciplinary charges, and we have gotten millions of dollars for it. We have won on behalf of people. The latest judgment, in fact, we have won judgment as much as 1.5 million on behalf of our members. So we have done a lot of work. More than that, we have restored workers. So as a union person, I've done that. And I could do nothing else because that's who I am. I want to be a voice to represent people. Even if they didn't pay me, I would do the work for free. So when I came to Tobago in I'm living in Trinidad now, my wife. And when I recognized in 2013, I think, 2013, that there was a totalitarian government in Tobago called the PNMTHA. There was no opposition.
No.
I recognized that in 2015, I had to do something about it. So again, I'm taking a risk. I said to my wife, I said, look, I'm going to Tobago and fight this state chair election in 2015. Me alone. And a bullhorn in my hand. So I have a black bag on my back and a bullhorn in my hand.
I remember you, I was there.
And she said, we spoke. Yeah. She said, who are you? I said, I'm going alone. And I went to my bullhorn in the streets. But people were listening. In 2 months' time, I got 2,000 votes because I went late. But the PNM, who was a 60-year-old institution, all they got was about 8,000 votes. When you do the maths, it would take 60 years to get 8,000 votes. And a man came from nowhere, no backup, alone, an individual, not an organization. So he has no money.
So before we go further, let us clarify that in 2015, it was not a THA election. It was
a national election.
National election. Mm-hmm. That's the election that you ran against Ayana
Webster, yeah.
You lost, she got 8,000. That election could have been a little bit better. But we had a young man from Roxborough that was doing a very dirty job on behalf of the People's National Movement. He was caught tearing down posters and doing a lot of crap and doing a lot of stuff. A lot of conversations came up after the election, even with polling box and polling stations. I was in Tobago right there. I even told
I remember we spoke.
I said, Watson, I'm sorry, but I didn't vote for you.
I remember we spoke.
The next time you run, I will vote for you.
Yeah.
But this time I vote for Ayana Webster Roy.
Yeah. But are you happy with your vote?
I am not happy with my vote. I'm not happy with who I voted for.
But she's the opposite to me. She's quiet, she's cool, she's nice. She's too
cool to represent Roxborough. Roxborough have been treated badly since A&R Robinson, Basil Pitt, Wilbert Winchester, and I could go along because I grew up as a PNM in Roxborough because of my mom.
Yeah.
She used to carry us to meetings by the Star of Hope or meeting by the Roxborough Coco Fomentary. So I grew up in politics there with Janice Lewis for sure. That Janice Lewis never been called or given a chance to represent Roxborough as a PNM that knows about PNM and what PNM stands for. No, we are not going to stray because I have my business already orchestrated. And I know that the reason why that win went so heavily, because the election before, when we had a Roxborough woman, a lawyer, Giselle Thomas. Giselle came from Trinidad representing People's National Movement in Roxborough. Collis Hazel didn't want Giselle to win, so he didn't fight for Giselle. And that year, Sister Kamla Bisesa, she was on fire. And she came with a band. And she got representation in Tobago. I even lost some of my nieces and nephews. Vonella Allen won the election against Tracy, a PNM in Roxborough. And that only happened because of Collis Hazel. I don't want to bring him on my live right now. I don't want to bring his name. Because I don't want to give relevance to some people. And she ran against Giselle. I was there for that election too again. I was so angry when I went out to all the meetings. Because even Giselle's relatives from Roxborough, they scared UNC. And they did not support Giselle the whole of Prince Street. Maybe except for Claudina Ashby and her husband. Like everybody else, when I went to talk campaigning for PNM, they told me straight up, we're not voting for Giselle. We're voting for the other candidate, the wife of a Roxborough man. Her husband was this boy Toppin.
Yeah.
and the election turned into that. So even when you were ready to run, I still didn't see where I could have leave PNM, although I saw nonsense that took place before with Patrick Manning timing. I saw nonsense that gave UNC the seat. Now, I am saying this right now, and we're going to get back to my program. But I just want to tell people that I voted in order to put Keith Rowley into power because he was my ex-teacher, and Ayana is a young family of mine. She was a little bit too calm. She still is a little bit too calm. Roxborough don't need calm people to represent Roxborough. As I said before, Roxborough need somebody strong and boisterous and somebody who could hold their own weight and somebody who don't have to depend too much on a political party in order to show themselves worthy to serve. I got my political energy not from a PNM. I got my energy from what's her name there? My daughter or you, somebody might help me. Pamela Nicholson.
Okay, right, yes.
You know, as I used to be a checker in the works department, county council area, her brother, Whitty, we used to call him Whitty, Mr. Nicholson. One day I took the microphone. And when I went on the microphone, he asked, who is this woman? Let's show she and my sister. She talking just like Pamela Nicholson.
Very powerful, I guess.
So although I was speaking against him and his way of service, he still loved me. When he was passing down from the meeting, I was already home. He stopped to meet me and greet me. He said, you should be in politics. He said, I love you. You
should.
Like my sister.
Maybe you should.
That is what I believe. Any PNM that representing Roxborough. Because when it comes to Tobago, we don't ever get representation in Trinidad. Once we come in from Roxborough or even Scarborough. Now, we are going back to what we supposed to do. So now we are shifting from being in the trade union, and now we are dealing with Watson, the politician. What made you go into politics?
Again, the people of Tobago had no voice, they had no representatives. Even though they had persons in Trinidad, they had all become quiet because it's not their nature again to speak out. All right? To speak out, it has to be inside your nature. And I know that you know what I'm speaking about because oftentimes you will take to your life, even though you are in a very comfortable place, wherever you are, and you have food, you have everything, air conditioned, you could switch off and forget the world. But you take up your life and you speak to people in Trinidad and Tobago and you let them know what you don't like and you get results. So like you, when I figured out that Tobago was all too silent because the PNM was dominating the politics and there was no opposition, I decided to challenge them. With the permission of my wife and my family, I attended and to that call, and the people accepted me. I got 2,000 votes. In 2 months' time, to me, that's a big ratio. 2 months, 2,000 votes, as opposed to the PNM, 60 years and only 8,000. No. From that moment, they recognized my potential in the politics. And the next time I entered politics again was in 2017 for the THA elections. This time I went to politics with a team, a full team, of which I have with me currently in the House, Assemblyman Fali Augustine and Councillor Dr. Faith B. Israel. And we have formed the Minority Council, which is the opposition in the House of Assembly. And I guarantee you, by God's grace, in the next few months, which is in January 2021, we intend to form the executive council, we would take over the THA, because we have done a lot insofar as representing Tobago. And as we walk around, people are satisfied with the level of representation. It was through our representation that the Prime Minister decided to buy 2 boats, because before that he was using barge, tug and barge, putting people goods on a barge and pull it up. Salt was destroying their vehicles, all that sort of nonsense. They had a Cobo Star that was not taking anybody. It was very difficult for persons to travel on that. They had the plane doing madness, not working sometimes. Now they are busy buying planes. It is because of our representation again. The central bank came to Tobago. You would recall that when they had this new bill coming out in December last year, they were busy making provisions for persons to go to central bank in Trinidad, but no provisions were made for persons in Tobago. So I would have made strong statements towards that effect, and by next week, central bank came to Tobago. It was because of what we have done in several areas. We have gotten results. In particular, in my constituency, Belle Garden East, Roxborough, Delaford. Just because I won that constituency, Roxborough for the very first time have seen some level of P&M development. I'm saying to you, currently now they're building a hospital. All right? They're building a hospital. Currently now they have built a brand new police station. They have built an administrative complex. They have refurbished the St. Grace Stadium or complex. They're building a brand new fire station. They have paved the roads. They have literally spent about $1 billion.
How the fire station?
In Roxborough.
Are you the one that shut down the old fire station?
Well, I'm not a fire officer, but definitely I would have been the one to encourage those to do it.
Well, I know you
I encourage them, because they would have called me and they complained, and I said to them, look, you have to take a position behind it. Because the building was cracked, was structurally weak and threatening the lives of workers. And they took a stand, and the government responded quickly. And not wanting to lose the next election, the P&M government, they have forgotten all of Tobago, and they spent almost $1 billion in Roxborough. I could tell you now that there's not any village in Tobago, not any single village in Tobago, that in one 4-year period have seen so much money spent in development, not one. And can go from point to point.
I want to come in here a little bit just to say that when it comes to Roxborough, they have to do that. Because London took 16 years and destroyed Roxborough. When you lost that election there to Ayanna Webster Roy, I called into a television station that called Rise and Shine. And I told Orville London on that Rise and Shine that if he doesn't start to get Roxborough back, because I start to name every infrastructure that was destroyed in Roxborough. The police station was destroyed. The courthouse was destroyed. The Roxborough market was destroyed. The nursing quarters was destroyed. The Roxborough health office was in shambles. The Roxborough abattoir was in shambles. I laid it out and Orville listened. And then they asked Orville the other week on another television station, do you think that Tobago, the House of Assembly, is corrupted? And he said, yes, I know. So the money that they're spending there in Roxborough, trying to entice people so that we should vote for them and to vote back for Ayanna Webster Roy. I am the one, I don't want to take fame or credit. I am the one that took 2.5 to 3 years clamoring and threatening for a hospital in Roxborough now.
Yes.
You see,
you have done a lot.
Roxborough Hospital, that I hear Ayanna Webster Roy telling people, we give all you this now, you see? We're giving all you this now. This is my baby. Ayanna Webster Roy, that hospital is not your baby. That hospital is the people's baby. Because since 1960, Eric Williams promised Roxborough a hospital. During the time from then to now, we have lost so many babies that died on the road going to Scarborough. We lost so many people from heart attacks, from Charlottesville to Scarborough. We lost people dead on the way from Bloody Bay out to Roxborough to get into Scarborough. And I can't see why we should be jumping up now and carrying on over the hospital and people taking credit for it. We want to know, why should we vote for Watson Duke? But first, before we get there, I want to ask you. So you are not the leader of the opposition in the Tobago House of Assembly anymore.
No, I am.
You are still?
I am. Yes, of course I am. I am the minority leader of the Tobago. Let me just clear my throat a little bit here.
Get some water. Take your time.
Yes. So I am the minority leader in the Tobago House of Assembly. But what I'm not doing politically, as the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, I'm not putting myself forward to become Chief Secretary. Typically, the political leader of any Tobago-led party would normally become the Chief Secretary. But I have to share the fighter. So I said to my colleague, Assemblyman Father, I said, look, I would recommend you to become the leader of the Tobago House of Assembly while I move away from Tobago and I go to Trinidad and fight. Because my duty is to fight. I believe that all the fight that fought in past, they were quite successful. And so now at this point in time, I have to fight and fight more. So I have decided to go to Trinidad where the battle is the hottest and take blows.
So you are telling
while he would manage
you are telling our audience today that you are not going to be contesting for the Chief Secretary post in Tobago. You are now.
No, I'm not contesting for that.
You are now contesting the seat for the
Tobago East. That's right.
To represent Tobago East in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago.
Lead representation there.
Lead representation. Oh, now, what exactly is your political mandate?
Very good question. Tobago has been denied opportunities for development. And in a sense, all Tobagonians feel as if they are second-class citizens, or if their concerns are never taken seriously. It's my political mandate to ensure that all of Tobago concerns are taken seriously. Hence, I'm going to Trinidad, where the central government is, and being a skilled negotiator, and being someone who knows my way around town, to represent very strongly and with skill the position of Tobagonians so as to bring more money to the island for development and to ensure that the island economy grows in keeping with its own expectation. Actually, our economy has been shrinking for years upon years. We have tried jazz, which is a failed industry. Michael D'Angelo was paid $400 and some, I have it written on here, $430,000, never showed up, and he went away with the money. We tried tourism, where we sent some money to a false account for Virgin Atlantic, some $8 million TT, and as the money went into the account closed, and Virgin Atlantic never got the money. They have tried Zipline. They bought Zipline to a place in Tobago Rainforest, $500,000. $500,000. And the Zipline is still in Miami in a shed. All of this has been done under the P&M. And we are tired of bad government. Tourism. Yes, but as well, P&M in Tobago. Tourism in particular, right? And so we have grown tired of that. We have spent $24 million buying a resort called Sanctuary Resort, a place where bats and gargoyles live. And they were to refurbish that. Nothing came out of that. They bought that in 2016. In 2015, they bought Manta Lodge for $8 million on a tourism. That's the P&M again. Nothing came out of that. Then they went and spent $50 million to refurbish them. Nothing was refurbished. So we are seeing at Tobago, we have no idea. We have no idea. I think that the P&M...
Did they retrieve the money from Virgin Atlantic?
I think the P&M has a lot to answer. When a proper audit is done and proper government take over this country, they have a lot to give answer for this stewardship.
Do you think that the House of Assembly is negligent when it comes to audit?
They are negligent. The last audit, 2015, show that was out, we attempted to raise it in the House and they shut it down. Said no. That has to be discussed in Trinidad.
So all these monies are still outstanding.
As far as we know, yes, the $430,000 that was given to Angelo, they said some lawyers been engaged. We have not heard of that money returned to the coffers of the PSA.
The money to Virgin Atlantic.
We have not heard that money has returned either, but we are here police investigating.
So,
all right,
and they keep ask you some questions because we have so much areas to cover.
Go right ahead.
I just want to tell all yours. People out there, this is a new day for your sister Coco. This is a new way of life for me and a new lifestyle for me.